small space, midday. Wagwan sister. Happy Monday, love. Well, if things are going. Good. I'm glad you're doing all right. All right to know. I have a day off today, so I'm grateful. Usually Mondays I work pretty late, so I'm very happy. I did cheat. I saw one person, but they needed to be seen, but I had the rest of the day off. Thank God. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for being here, guys. Shout out to the people in the chat. Shout out to the people who will watch the replay. I appreciate y'all. So first, I want to give a disclaimer, child. Listen, I watched Young Pharaoh's live. I watched a big chunk of it last night, and then this morning I tried to finish it. When I tell you that this man was all over the place, like it's so concerning. It was just so much stuff, and then he had like a call-in section. I barely listened to that because he was just getting so disrespectful. So I'm gonna try my best to unpack things in a I don't even want to say chronological way because he was out of control. He was all over the place. So I'm gonna try my best to hit all the points. It just might be we're jumping around a bit. So I hope you guys had a good weekend. I'm gonna start off by saying this. If you don't know, if you've been following the story with a Young Pharaoh and Golden Beauty, you would know that Golden Beauty recently uploaded a video saying she has moved from Texas and I think she's back in California with her family. And I'm so happy for her. And I'm so happy for the kids because if you guys have been paying attention to what's going on recently, I really felt like they were in danger. People have been telling her for months, like, girl, get back to your family. But I think she was really trying to work it out so that he could still see the kids regularly. I think that's probably what it was. Plus, she was going to school and stuff. So I think that's what it was. She was trying her best. So thank God she moved back to California. At least she's around her folks and her family. And I think she'll be a lot safer because I really truly feel that Young Pharaoh is unhinged. My small space said, I have no clue what's going on with dude. I haven't watched his ish, but I saw Golden's going to Cali. I was so happy when I saw that video. I said, yes, girl, get up out of here. Because like I said before, I really think this is a situation that it will continue to escalate and it could be very bad. Okay. I don't want to speak nothing into people's lives, but I've already said a few times what I think, could happen. My small space also said, it sure seems as if he was untouchable. It irks my soul. Listen, that was all the vibes that I was getting. My small space, this man is like off his rocker. Okay. And I want to say everything in this video is alleged. Okay. We're going to unpack some things, but in nowhere are we trying to diagnose people. This is just speculation. And, we're just here to break it down and share our opinions. Okay. Child, it was so much going on in that damn video. And I have not sat and listened to one of his videos in a while because he's such an egomaniac that it's hard to listen to. It's just hard to sit and listen to him. He's so full of himself. And I did a poll last night on my wall, and I had asked what people thought was going on with Young Pharaoh. Like, why do you think this is happening? And I had different options. I had psychosis due to ingesting substances, aka shrooms, because he had said in his video, and I had also heard, I think from Golden, that he was allegedly doing shrooms. I had delusions of grandeur, underlying untreated mental health issues, spiritual attack, and other. Every one of those things got a vote. The highest voted one was delusions of grandeur. Now, I'm going to read to you what delusions of grandeur is before we get into the shenanigans that was happening in this damn video. So, according to Dr. Google, okay, delusions of grandeur are one of the more common ones. It's talking about different delusions. It's when you believe that you have more power, wealth, smarts, or other grand traits that is true than is true. And so I want y'all to think about that. Okay. It says when you believe you have more power, wealth, smarts, or other grand traits that it then is true. And that is very much the case with young Pharaoh. Okay. He's always flexing his power or whatever perceived power he thinks he has. There's many examples of this. His wealth, we're going to get into that. His smarts, he said he was in the top 1% of intelligence. Okay. He said this in his video yesterday, and just all this other stuff that he's always touting. Jamie said, hey, Jamie said somebody laced him with shrooms. And now we're going to get into that because he also talked about this in his video. That's why I had different options, because even though I think he's out of control and he's doing some crazy shit, I think there's multiple things at play. I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's, here's the thing with shrooms, right? Some people take shrooms. Now, I've never done them, so I'm certainly not advocating for people to do them. But some people take shrooms and they have a magical spiritual experience. Some people take shrooms and it's just a trip from hell. And the thing is, some of those people have a hard time recovering from that. They may end up having flashbacks and crazy shit that happened. Hey, Leak You, shout out to Leak You. Okay, please check out her channel. Okay, she stays giving us the news and she breaks things down, investigations. And I found out recently that Leaky be on her extraterrestrial investigations. So I really like that. I like that stuff. So check out Leaky. But anyway, sorry, y'all know ADHD. I just had to shout her out. I really enjoy her channel. And she does cover some beef sector things as well. So you could get your whole life. Child, listen. So it was just so much stuff happening in that video. Okay, so many things happening, but with the shrooms thing, we're going to unpack it. Definitely some people can have a bad trip with shrooms and then it's just not good. Like they end up, it's hard for them to kind of like recover from it. And then I also want to say there is a lot of research, sidebars, a lot of research going into microdosing psilocybin, aka shrooms, that's actually very effective for PTSD and depression. So I'm not shitting on shrooms by any means. Like I said, I never did it, but I do think it could be promising for some of the research that they're doing. But some people are just out here, dipping and dabbling, and you don't know how you're going to get affected. Okay. So anyway, let's see where we're going to start. We talked about golden moving. Okay. We talked about those poles and delusions of grandeur. And I think definitely he has some huge delusions of grandeur. Hey, peace, love. Happy Monday, sis. Thank you for being here. Yes. Check out Peace Love too. Okay. She's on it. She's getting ready to drop her Vlogmas stuff. So, child, young Pharaoh made my head spin yesterday. Let's get into this damn shrooms tea. Okay. First, we're going to unpack that because I think it's important to piece some of these things together before we get into some of the stuff that he's saying. So, according to him, I don't remember the woman's name. He says somebody came to his house. He was talking about his bodyguard and how he ended up firing his bodyguard and stuff. And he says somebody came to his house and gave him some tea, and it was mushroom tea. Now, he said they did tell him it was mushroom tea. I don't know if he thought it was shiitake tea. I don't know what he was thinking, because there are adaptogenic mushrooms that could be made into teas and different things. But I'm like, come on, you have to have known. So anyway, he says that there was mushroom tea. And then he said his bodyguard wanted to leave. Thanks for sharing my video, Leak You. His bodyguard wanted to leave. And he said he told his bodyguard no, because he feels funny. Probably because you just drank some shrooms tea, okay? And I wonder if it hits you differently when you drink the tea versus if you just ingest it straight. So, child, he said he told his bodyguard, and his bodyguard was trying to dip out, according to him. He didn't feel good. Then it sounded to me that he got paranoid. He started saying that people were stealing his jewelry. He couldn't find his jewelry. And he blamed a couple different people in the house that were there. I don't know if his jewelry was actually missing or not, or if this was some of the effects of ingesting the shrooms. So that's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like stuff was going down, but it also sounds like he was experiencing some paranoia and hallucinations probably. So I don't know, somehow him and his bodyguard fell out. but he's claiming, like I said, his story was very incohesive, and it was just all over the place. So I'm not really sure why he mentioned that. Maybe because Golden had said before in one of her videos that he was doing shrooms. You know what I'm saying? One of the patterns I've noticed with young Pharaoh, and this isn't just this video, but this happened a lot in this video. If you guys actually take the time to listen to the entire video, you will notice that nowhere in there did young Pharaoh take any responsibility for his actions. Like zero. It was everybody else. Everything was everybody else's fault. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do, let's take a field trip. We're going to his channel, and I want to read you the title of his video from yesterday. And I posted this in my community wall. Jamie said, being laced different, you got to be mentally prepared. You do have to be mentally prepared for things like that. Jamie's absolutely right. That's why I said some people have a spiritual, magical experience, and some people it's hell. Okay. So that's not just something you flippantly do. Once again, never did it, but this is what I hear from different people. Okay. Absolutely zero accountability. And y'all, if y'all been watching me for a while, you know one of the things that drive me crazy is people that never take any responsibility for their actions. Okay. Okay, since this is on my phone, I have to actually click on it to see the full title. I'm gonna read this. Y'all get ready. Young Pharaoh explains why he shot his children's mother's house. Now, the shit's not funny, but it's like it to me, it reminds me of an episode of Chappelle. Remember when he used to do those skits when keeping it real goes wrong? And people just end up in all kinds of fucked up situations because they just run their mouth too much and they just think they're the biggest and the baddest. That's what it reminds me of. Okay. An episode of when keeping it real goes wrong. And he wasn't even really keeping it real, other than really incriminating himself that he did, in fact, he was the person who shot up Golden's apartment. Now, I had people in the comments saying, I don't think it was real. I think it was fake. I know people do fake stuff on the internet. I knew Golden wasn't lying about the shooting. She showed where the bullet was. She showed what happened. There were other ways that I think she could have responded in different ways, but I believed her. I believed that, somebody had shot up the place and it was likely him. I even had proof to you guys. I told you prior to the shooting, he was online making threats. This is why I don't understand why people cape for young Pharaoh. Look, young Pharaoh literally incriminates himself every time. He was on video saying, yo, I'm about to, I don't even remember. I don't want to misquote what he said, but he clearly insinuated prior to the incident that he was going to do stuff to Golden Beauty. So it's just crazy to me to see how people are in denial and they just bend over backwards and do the mental gymnastics to come up with some other alternative. Sure, we have to say it's alleged because we don't know. We didn't see him on camera pull up and shoot up her house, other than the things that left his mouth. So anyway, we know this had happened before, okay? And let me tell you, the funniest thing about the whole damn video, the title never even happened. He said, young Pharaoh explains why he shot his children's mother's house. Nowhere in this video, and if I'm wrong, I'd love for you to drop in the comments or in the chat. Nowhere in this video did he actually disclose why he did this. And again, that's because there's no reason. Why would you shoot up the residence of your ex, which also houses your children? And he said so many times in this video, I love my kids. I love my kids. How can you love your children and then you actually admitted to shooting up a building and where they resided? How does that work? I want it to make sense because it's not making any sense to me at all. That doesn't make any sense at all to me, guys. You cannot tell me you love your children and then you proceed to fire shots into the building where they live. Now, I think he must be representing himself. He must not have a lawyer because I don't understand how he has a lawyer and he's on the internet talking this shit, because they would have been told him to take this shit down. People in the comments were begging him to be like, yo, you need to change the title. This is not the first time he did that. He had a video before saying why I put my hands on Golden Beauty. I swear he had a video like that. Like that was in the title. Okay. So anyway, moving right along. Okay. The next thing he said that I caught in there after he shared the Shrooms Tea story, he said, Golden has been marring his name, ruining his reputation. He talked about all he did for her. And then he said that she had alleged that he had abused her for 5 years. Now, And I quote, this is what young Pharaoh said: I didn't abuse her for 5 years. He repeated this several times, that he didn't abuse her for 5 years. Now, what you guys, you have to pay attention to what's not being said. Young Pharaoh didn't say, I never abused her. I never put my hands on her. It only happened one time. He didn't say that. He said, I didn't abuse her for 5 years. What can you infer from that statement? Okay. That leaves me to believe, well, what was it, 4 years? Was it 4.5 years? Like, what, you nowhere in there did you deny that you abused her. Not a good look. Once again, continuing to fail to take responsibility for his actions. Jamie said, I believe he loves his children. I just think he prioritizes his ego above everything. I agree with you, Jamie. I do. I agree with you that he does care for his children, but I also think that there's a lot going on, drugs, mental health issues, and I think he's making very impulsive and irrational decisions. You can't love your children and shoot up a place that they live in. It just doesn't work. So something is not going right there, you know? And it clearly, he was in the children's lives. And I want to say this before I go on. I am definitely not for, as long as you're not a risk, which probably has changed since you shut up the apartment. As long as you're not a risk to your children, I don't believe you should be kept from seeing your children, even if you're not a good parent. Like, I don't think that's the case with young Pharaoh. I'm not going to say he's not a good parent, but I think people should have access to their children, even if it's supervised visits. Okay, there's only a certain cases where I would be like, nah, this person shouldn't be seeing their kids. I don't like when parents try to leverage that against other parents, like, you can't see your kids, da da da. You know, and I don't even know if that's what's really happening, because young Pharaoh is so controlling. I don't think Golden stayed in the area. I think she wanted him to see the kids, but young Pharaoh always has all these unreasonable demands. He wants to know who she's dating, and even though he's in the bed with 6 different bitches, like, I don't understand how does anybody understand how some of these polygamous relationships work? Because it seems to me that the man can have all the people he wants in his bed, and the woman can't. She doesn't get to do that. The woman doesn't get to be like, I want to be with this guy and I want to be with this guy. It seems like it's a very it's just not equal. It seems a bit misogynistic to me, because he'll go off about different women, but let her try to go on a wholesome date and he's losing his mind. Like, he lost his mind when she had a male classmate helping her with stuff who is actually in a relationship. It's not like he was interested in her in that way. It was just crazy. Like, he's so possessive and unhinged. So, you know, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous at this point. So he said, I didn't abuse her for 5 years. And he said she ruined his image. Okay. And then he said, not letting me see my kids. Here's the thing. You want to see your kids, but sir, you shot at the apartment that they lived in. How is that going to look when it's time to go to court? That alone could I don't think it will stop him from getting visits, but they're going to be supervised. How can they think that you're not a danger to your children if you shot? I don't care if you were just shooting at Golden. Why were you even shooting at her allegedly? I still can't believe that was the title of his video. He actually says, young Pharaoh explains why he shot his children's mother's house. He's lost his mind. So then he goes on to talk about all the stuff he did for her. And then he was like, I made a 1.4 mil last year. And when I heard that, I was like, yo, you made 1.4 mil, but you was up here talking about something. You got to raise money for your YouTube lawsuits? Are you serious? Y'all remember, anybody who used to watch him, he came on and he was like, oh, I need to raise money for, these legal fees. We taking YouTube to court. And he actually had the documents. He said he was suing them. He also claimed that he had lost monetization, which was a lie, because he kept getting super chats. Even to this day, young Pharaoh still gets super chats. Like, he said YouTube was mad that he filed a lawsuit and they took away his monetization. But said, the man love to lie. I was like, we can see that you're getting super chats, sir. What are you talking about? It's crazy. I'm like, how do you brag about 1.4 mil, but you stay with the scam? People are dumb. These people are dumb. Like, if you're just giving your money away, and he does a lot of things. It's not just YouTube. He has a university. I think he has other things that he does. So I'm not hating on how much money he made. I'm just saying, if you're stacking paper to the ceiling in that way, why are you asking for money on YouTube? Most of the people in your chat probably can't afford to pay a lawyer straight out of their pockets, but you could if you made 1.4 mil. Okay, you could play the retainer. You could keep replenishing that money. These people are, I'm telling you, they just take advantage of people. It's out of control. Then he said, this is where some more of the delusions come in. Okay. He said he was abducted by extraterrestrials. Now, here's the thing. I used to be one of those people who thought all this shit was fake. I'm starting to believe that there are people who probably have had experiences where that they can't explain. Okay. So I'm not saying he's delusional for that. I'm saying he's delusional because he thinks that somehow this gives him extra powers. This is where I think the delusions are coming in. He was like, y'all niggas don't got to believe me that I was abducted by extraterrestrials. And then he was putting that in the same conversation where he was talking about how much money he made and what he did and, how much intelligence he has. And I'm just like, sir, if this is the case, let's say this is real. There's a lot of people who have these experiences. There's countless experiences of people who have had experiences where they claim they've been abducted by extraterrestrials. Okay. So how does this make you more special, more smart? I just don't understand the logic. I don't understand where he's going with any of these things at all. And it's, again, he could do no wrong. Nowhere in there did he take any responsibility for his actions. The next thing that I saw in the video that I thought stood out to me, does anybody know who Rashad Jamal is? Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of him. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Rashad Jamal. Okay, I really like his channel. I don't believe everything he says and teaches, but I like some of the things that he puts on his channel. Rashad Jamal does a lot of spiritual content. He does a lot of lectures. I'm not even gonna say similar to Young Pharaoh, because Young Pharaoh doesn't do that now. Young Pharaoh is literally like doing a bunch of F-ish and threatening people and just doing the most. Okay. But Rashad Jamal is a channeler, and he does a lot of different things on his channel. And the other thing about him, he's not money hungry. He does have a university outside of YouTube that you have to pay for, but he's not on YouTube like peddling like Young Pharaoh is. I got a bank. Okay, so Jamie's heard of Rashad. I really like Rashad. Here's my only thing I don't like with Rashad. Okay, like I said, I don't agree with everything he says. I think he has a little bit of an egomaniac tendencies. Now, I cannot stand people like that, especially in the spiritual community. That drives me crazy because I think it gets a little bit too far. But other than that, he puts out some information that I think could be interesting. One of the people I like who I don't think is like that, he's not an egomaniac, is Remedy H. I just started watching him. He's very good. Again, I don't agree with everything these people say, but they just make me think and expand my thinking. Okay. So he started to go at Rashad Jamal. Okay. Now, I've only been listening to Rashad since this year. So I can't speak to what happened last year. According to Young Pharaoh, he started calling Rashad Jamal all kind of bitch niggas. And he said Rashad Jamal threatened to kill him and his children. And he said that when he sees Rashad Jamal, it's on site. Now, here's the thing. Again, I can't speak for what I've never seen, but in the times that I've watched Rashad Jamal, I can't imagine him doing that. I can't imagine Rashad Jamal making a threat towards Young Pharaoh and his children. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what you think, Jamie. I don't know if this is true or if anybody else knows, but I just don't believe it. He then proceeded to play a video, okay, of Rashad Jamal and him. You know how Pharaoh cannot have a dialogue. He has to dominate the entire conversation. He proceeded to talk for several minutes, and Rashad Jamal was shaking his head, okay, and Pharaoh was saying Rashad shaking his head was an indicator that he was saying everything right and that he agreed with him. He said, you threatened my family. Then Rashad said, "Can I talk now?" Very calmly and peacefully. And then young Pharaoh started to go crazy. And then he shut off the video. So we only heard what he said and how he was running his mouth. We didn't even know. He claimed he could prove it from the video. Nowhere in the video did we hear Rashad Jamal say, "Yes, I did say that. Yes, I," like it was insane. Like it's not enough that he has charges for terroristic threats, weapons possession, and all this other shit. Now he's threatening another man. Like, this is what I'm saying. He's unhinged. Jamie said he said his family could die and he would sleep good and he'd piss on his grave. Okay, so that's pretty fucked up. Thank you for sharing this, Jamie. But if he said his family could die, that's not him saying he's gonna shoot and kill your family. And that is messed up that he said that. However, okay. Listen, peace, love, sis. You should, in my recommendation section, okay, she literally read my mind. She said YP needs medication and a 5150 hold, and it's facts on facts on facts. He is totally unhinged, guys. Like, real talk. Hey, Zion Movements, blessings to you too. Listen, real talk. If YP doesn't get whatever is going on in check, he's going to end up getting involuntarily committed. And here's why. Either that or he's going to end up in jail. One of those two things will happen, because what I saw last night, I know that he's full of himself and I know that he's boisterous and this. The stuff he was saying was out of control. Like, it was just crazy. And to me, how are you in your right mind and you're posting a video that incriminates you while you have an open criminal case? Guys, he has charges that he had to post bail for, which included terroristic threats. How do you like, anybody in their normal mind would not post a video if he's as smart as he says he is, if he's in the top 1%, okay? If you're in the top 1% of intelligence, sir, you would not have posted that video. You don't even need to be in the top 1% for that, okay? It's so crazy to me how much he assigns himself, like how much worth and how much intelligence he claims he has. I remember he would say things like, "I'll debate any Jewish rabbi and they can't touch me." And I'm thinking, like, you're not Jewish. And just because you read a couple books and you think you're smart doesn't mean that you're going to take down a Jew. Like, it's just so insane to me, the way he talks about things. Oh, before we continue with the Rashad Jamal conversation, I forgot to tell y'all, he was dick riding hard. It was this dude, what's his name? Robert Steele. Robert Steele, he said Robert Steele shouted him out, which he did, okay? And it was so cringy. This guy, the way he talked about things, you can tell this is a man who normally trashes Black people, especially Black men. And his shout out to young Pharaoh was some of the most cringiest, like, it just had undertones of like white supremacy. It was so gross. And he was like, yeah. And, I didn't know young Pharaoh was out here and, he's a Trump supporter and the way he said he was Black, it was just weird. Like, it was just weird, guys. It was weird and cringy. And then he proceeded to talk about Black men and, basically insinuated that they wasn't shit, but young Pharaoh was different. And young Pharaoh, was getting excited and stimulated over these things. And even the way young Pharaoh talks to and about white people is very different than he now, like, he used to greet, the way he greets people is very different now. And the way he talks about Black people, especially Black women, he actually said in his video, "Governor Abbott, sir." He was calling him all kinds of sir. He was tap dad. He was just like tap dancing and shucking and jiving and doing all this shit. "Governor Abbott, I'd love to date your," I don't know if it was his daughter or his niece. And it was like, what? Like, it was the way he said it. Like, he just had the utmost respect for these white men. And when it was time to talk to other Black people or about Black people or about Black women, it was like, "You bitch nigga this, you bitch nigga that." And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. He definitely craves white validation. I absolutely agree with you, Jamie. He does. And it was so sickening because he was just on there like Robert Steele. And it was just so much dick riding. It was weird. But I noticed that, and he was talking about his white neighbors when he talked about his 1.4 mil that he made last year. And he was like, my white neighbors, I don't have any problems with them and they don't break the law. Nigga, you just shot up, according to you, you just shot up your baby mama's home. It doesn't matter what your white neighbors are doing. I'm sure they're not doing that according to you. How are you going to put yourself, like, it didn't make sense. It was like he wanted to be synonymous with them, but at the same time, he was making an ass out of himself. Like, bruh, like, you you need to just get rid of all your queens and just be honest and be like, you want to be with a white woman. It's okay. Like, that would be much more acceptable than you out here kissing everybody's ass, talking about some Governor Abbott. Governor Abbott, I want to date you, sir. Sir, I want to lick your balls and taste the salt drip off of them. Like, it was just so weird. It was weird. Hey, MV. I was uncomfortable. He was so rude to the callers. Oh, we gonna get into that, MV? Yes, he was. Okay. He was mad nasty to the callers. And actually, truth be told, that was where I stopped the video. I started to listen to a few calls and then I started to skip through it because he was hella disrespectful. It was out of control. Jamie, it was gross. He was just, I don't like that, especially when you're a grown ass man and you're changing the way, like, why wasn't Rashad Jamal, sir? Why wasn't these other black men and your bodyguard and then all the black women was bitches? At least Rashad Jamal greets everybody, peace to the gods and goddesses. I ain't never heard him get on there and call no black woman a bitch or any woman. I've never heard him say that. It was just disgusting. Anyway, so he was just doing the absolute most, child. Then we get to the phone lines. Okay, MV just queued it up. Okay, we got to the phone lines. Okay, and he was extra unhinged here. Okay, and then I just want to make a quick comment about the chat. There were people in the chat that were giving him that work. Okay, they were definitely giving him that work, which is very unlikely for a young Pharaoh chat. Typically, people are like kissing his ass and like, yeah, you know, you're the man, and da da da. We riding with you to the end. And people were calling him out, and a lot of black women were calling him out because they support him. And he was saying a lot of disrespectful things. He kept saying black bitches, and I'm done with you, and I'm done with 80. He said, I'm done with 85% of you black women. And it was just so crazy. Like, I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. Like, and then here come these idiots in the chat talking about some, not all black women. And I'm like, whoever wrote that shit, you're dumb. You're missing the point. You shouldn't have to write not all black women. If he's up there calling black women bitches, sweetie, your time is over. This is an issue of disrespect at this point. And you're literally trying to stand out talking about some not all black bitches, like not all black women. Like, girl, you're pathetic. Leave this man alone. He doesn't respect you, period. You're not special in his eyes. Move on. I don't understand why some people will put up with verbal abuse, you know, just so you could be with somebody. Like, I don't understand the way he was talking. Why would anybody want to be with somebody like that? YP got a lot of extra unaddressed trauma. The money just exposed and enhanced it. Absolutely. See, Jamie is coming with the facts here. And I absolutely agree with Jamie here. Because he probably had a lot of these underlying issues, but clearly a lot of this has bubbled to the surface as he increased his wealth and he increased like a lot of other things, right? And I think the CPAC thing really did him in. I think him getting kicked out of CPAC, okay, really did him in. And also he was bragging about his 51 acres. I think that's great that he has a lot of land. That's awesome. But once again, you're bragging about all these things, your 1.4 mil, your 51 acres, and nowhere did I hear you thank any of the people who helped you get there at all. I'm not saying you only got there because of your supporters, but he has a university. Like, it's just he's so self-absorbed. Could you imagine what it's like to be in a relationship with somebody like that? It must be exhausting. Money don't change. It's just you. It just makes you know who you are. It's true. It's true. And it was just he was just saying he kept saying black bitches and the people in the chat. I was just like, it was just crazy. So then the first lady that called was super respectful, and she said she was a single mom, and she gently said to him, I think she even said, I understand you love your kids or whatever, but perhaps you could, I'm paraphrasing, consider being more respectful to Golden Beauty. He popped off and he basically called that lady a bitch and said that she could never be with him. It was just it could have never been me. First of all, why, like, I would never call into his thing unless I'm cussing him out. And this lady was so respectful to him, and he completely disrespected her, completely. And then he proceeded to continue to call black women black bitches and stuff as though he was some kind of prize. Sweetie, you're probably 5'2". Get the fuck out of here. Like, it's just so I don't understand. I just don't get it. Anyway, what I have to say about all of this shenanigans is young Pharaoh. Oh yeah, she did sound like an older woman. She did. It was so disrespectful, and that was when MV. I just started to skip through. I don't like to hear people get disrespected in that way, especially when they're not meeting you with that energy. Hey, Miss Venus, happy Monday, love. Especially when they're not meeting you with that energy, I think it's very unfair that he was talking to this lady like this, and she wasn't the only one. Child, when I was skipping through, he was being very disrespectful, and people were super chatting him. It was weird. Like, I just don't get that type of. I don't get it. But young Pharaoh, real talk, you need to check yourself in to someplace, okay? And since you have 1.4 mil, maybe you can go to a private facility so it won't go on your medical record. Because if you don't get help for what's going on, it's going to jeopardize everything you already have. And it's probably going to jeopardize your ability to see your kids. Now, here's the thing. Clearly he's upset that Golden has moved away. I commend Golden for moving away and being safe. If he wants to see his children, they can have mediation or they can go to court where there could be a written arrangement. Young Pharaoh is not the type of partner you're going to do a verbal agreement with. When you're dealing with personalities like young Pharaoh with any of those traits, it's important that you actually go through a mediator or the courts, because if you don't, you're just always going to get sucked into their demands, their manipulation. And when you have a written agreement, then it's not flexible, right? Both parties have to agree to change the terms. He can't just decide one day, I'm no longer paying for your apartment where the kids live. He can't do stuff like that. So I think it's good she moved away. It sucks that, yes, he can't see his kids as often, but if they go through mediation, they can make a decision about how often they will get to see the kids, how long he will have the kids for. It's not going to stop him from seeing his children. Probably what will happen is he just will not be able to go by her house to pick up the kids, because like now that he has like criminal charges, again, I hope she has a restraining order against him. He actually said, guys, if you listen to the video, he said, and I wrote it down as a quote, I will kick a door in to come get my kids. No, you don't need to kick a motherfucking door in, young Pharaoh. All you need is mediation or a court document stating when you're permitted to have visits. Again, you're making more threats, and I believe he will do this. I believe he will find out where she lives. Okay, he already shot at her, and it's not alleged anymore because he literally just admitted to it in his video title. Idiot. Okay, you also admitted to putting your hands on her before. Why I punched Golden Beauty in the face, and then he proceeded to talk about his best statues and all this other shit that means nothing. Okay. If somebody is damaging your property, then you have them escorted off the premises. Okay. Or you could call the police. You don't get to put your hands on them, especially if she's the mother of your child. Or you tell her ass she need to pay for that shit. Nowhere, should it be that you punch her in the face over a statue? What? I'm sorry, but that don't make no sense to me, guys. I don't care what anybody says. It makes no sense. But anyway, he needs to get help. This is not a joke. Okay. The way he was talking, it sounded like he was in psychosis already. Like he sounded like either he had a bad trip with the shrooms and never bounced back because his whole energy changed. If you've been watching and paying attention, his entire energy has shifted. The way he makes threats, the way he talks about things, he doesn't take any responsibility for his actions. He doesn't think there's any consequences coming to him. Okay? I mean, you have to be in an altered state of reality to think that this is not the case. And to think that you living in a predominantly white neighborhood with probably wealthy people is going to protect you. They probably don't want your ass there. Okay? You haven't listened to Oprah and Jay-Z. It don't matter how much money you have, racism is still racism. You like, and I'm not saying this is all white folks, but it is what it is. Like you really like it's just he's so naive. He even hold his mouth different when sorry, my thing is coming up here. When he's upset, he does. It's completely different. I think he was on something and never bounced back. I agree, Zion movements. I do think that. And then here's the thing: if you already have underlying mental health issues and you take some, this is what I'm saying. Not everything is for everybody. Okay. Do you know, even though weed can be absolutely magical and wonderful for a lot of people, it can help them with anxiety, it can help them with stress, it can help them to sleep, it can help them with pain management. But do you know that there's a small subset of people who have, if they have underlying mental health issues and they smoke weed, they can actually end up having, it can trigger a underlying mental health issue. Some people are recommended to not do weed. And it's not me trying to be a buzzkill, it's facts. Like some people aren't recommended to do that. And it's the same thing with things like shrooms, like any of those hallucinogenic drugs that again they can have good properties for some people, but for some people it's just you're not the same. Okay. And Zion said watching him is watching a train wreck. It's very sad. I'm not celebrating. I think he truly has declined. I really think that he does have a lot of skills and gifts. Okay. Yeah, I like CBD as well. I like THC only. CBD works for me. I've used both. I don't like to smoke. I'm not a smoker. I have asthma. Plus, I don't like smoking. But I have used CBD for anxiety, and it's very very good. I use it in the States actually, and then when I moved to Canada, they have better versions of it, like a better, stronger one. And I've also used THC oil, and that's pretty good. So again, I'm not like shitting on it. I'm just saying people need to do their research and they need to be careful. Also, come on, if you're like a grown ass person, you shouldn't have to be told to not take drugs from other people. This person made you mushroom tea. You don't know, that could be laced with some other shit. You don't know what's in there. According to you, you have all this stuff. Like people could grudge you for your stuff, and they could be trying to steal your stuff or do stuff to you. Like I don't think people think about stuff like this. So I don't know, he just doesn't seem the same to me. He's always been full of himself, but this is next level. This is like super next level, and I really think he needs to get help. If I was golden, I would request a parenting capacity evaluation. Okay, because guess what? The parenting capacity evaluation don't give a fuck about your 1.4 mil. It don't give a fuck about what neighborhood you live in. It cares about, do you have the mental stamina and capacity to care for your children and to be alone with them? That's what it cares about. Okay. And so she needs to, like, those are things she needs to look into. If he doesn't get it together, I just don't see how he's going to be able to see his kids regularly. Like making threats. Like how are you, anybody can easily argue that you're a threat to your children if you shot the home that they live in. How do you know that bullet won't hit one of them? What if the bullet did hit somebody? You know what I'm saying? This is all stuff that people don't think about, guys. How do you know where your children were located when you did all of this? It's just sickening. So people can make excuses and try to defend him, but it's like at this point it's not about who you like and who you don't like. You're wrong. He's dead wrong, and he needs help, and he needs to do something about his decline and what's going on. But anyway, any other questions, any thoughts about this young Pharaoh situation? It's just very sad. I never in a million years would have thought, I'd be doing a video like this. Like this is somebody who has said things like, "Ah, the black woman is God," and it's just crazy to hear him repeatedly call black women all kinds of bitches. Why? Because people don't agree with you. And I've never been one of those people who, just because I like somebody doesn't mean I agree with everything that they say and worship at your throne. I'm just not like that. I don't worship people. I don't care how spiritual or how many things you have to offer. I'm always going to look at your shit objectively and be like, does it make sense to me? Is it applicable to my life? Okay. Does this make any sense? And there's things that he said back even when I used to watch him and like him, that I'm like, no, bro, you're out of pocket. Okay. White people don't have tails. Michelle Obama doesn't have a penis. Like, just weird shit. And the paranoia is just, oh, anyway. Child, stay, like, I don't know. Be careful when you take stuff from people. Sometimes it could just be weed and they lace. I've heard people lace stuff with fentanyl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really roll your own shit. Buy your own CBD oil. Don't be having people make nothing for you that you don't know. Okay? Because it's just, anyway. That's all I got to say. I'm just going to give you guys a few moments to ask questions, post any other comments. I think I read through most of the comments. I don't think I missed anybody's comments, but what do y'all like? It's just disheartening. And I'm going to say this too while I wait to see if you guys have any other thoughts. This is a very dangerous time for Golden and the kids, and here's why. See, Golden was smart. She packed up her shit and her children and she left. Okay. She didn't come to the internet and said, I'm finna move. I'm finna go back to California. If she had did that, she would have been intercepted. I promise you, she would have been intercepted, probably in a very violent way. So she did the smart thing and she outsmarted him and she packed her shit up and packed her children's shit up and she left. Young Pharaoh is seething right now because he has been outsmarted. Like, he is big mad. When you're dealing with somebody who has alleged narcissistic traits like this, alleged, okay? This is going to be a dangerous time for her because he's very upset. Not only has he lost the control of physically being in a relationship with her, he has now lost the control of being in physical proximity to her. Okay, he's no longer close. Like Texas and California are not close. So he's going to be obsessed with wanting to know what she's doing, who she's surrounded by, what men, is around the children. He loves to control her, even though, like I said, he got 11 women in his home and, he's doing all this stuff, but he's worried about what she's doing. That doesn't involve him. Okay. Jamie said, according to Golden, he texted he was going to fire one round into the garage before he did it. Exactly. I believe her. I absolutely believe her. I bet you Golden didn't want to put those papers on Pharaoh, but he is now taking it to the next level. He had no choice. She had to. She had no choice. She had to put them papers on him. Okay. That boy said, yeah, he does. And so I think she did the right thing, but this is going to be a very dangerous time. And I'm glad that she's actually not on social media a lot, talking about what she's doing and where she's at. I think she should just go back to doing her content, because if he knows too much, you're basically giving him like a blueprint of, like, where to come find you and all this stuff. He probably knows where her family is, but I'm serious, guys. This isn't just gems for Golden. Pay attention to people like this. This is a very dangerous time. When a woman, well, I'm gonna say a woman, but because typically this is the case. When a woman leaves an abusive relationship to the point where she has to change her physical location, it's a very dangerous time. That's all I'm gonna say. If you don't believe me, look it up. Okay. He already, if you were listening to his live yesterday, he's already made additional threats. When he said, I will kick the door in for my kids, that wasn't, I don't think he was just figuratively speaking. I think this is him saying, just like I told you I would shoot through the garage, I'm fitting to come kick your door in. So I really truly hope she has a restraining order, because and I hope she's armed, and I hope she has people looking out for her. It's not a game. I have a friend who, she was in an abusive relationship for years. And I didn't know her back when she was with the person, and man, like, it was one of the worst stories I ever heard. It was just horrific. And then she was in a different province, and she finally saved up enough money. And then she knew, she even knows about, like, the different stages of domestic violence relationships where the woman could actually end up dead. Like, she knew her stuff. She saved up enough money, was able to leave, because this man had a lot of money and he was very connected. And she got her kids, and then she moved to a different province. Okay. And here's the thing, when you do that, sometimes that could be considered it could be considered like kidnapping or parent alienation. But the thing is that with Golden, because she filed those papers on him before she moved, I think she'll probably be okay. Right? I think she'll be okay. But my friend, she had to move to a different province, guys. That's how I met her. And I mean, man, she only talks to him through an app. He was mad, and he was trying to do a lot of stuff to her. And he cut off a lot of things, but it didn't matter because she had stashed money away. Her parents had helped her a lot. And do you know, she's been out here for 2 years. Okay. Because I've been here now. I think I met her the first year I moved here. She's been out here for over 2 years. Do you know, she told me earlier this year that her dad, she was out of town, and her dad was driving by the house for something. Her dad had to go pick up something in her house. Do you know, her dad said he saw that man's car and license plate driving away? She has a restraining order against him. Driving away from her house. Now, he doesn't even live here, guys, and he's not supposed to know where she lives. That, like, their communications with the kids, the way he gets the kids is there's a drop-off point nowhere near her house. Like, he was driving by her house, and I think it was also on camera, but because there was some technicality in the restraining order, that's why he didn't get charged. This man came all the way from another province. It's a different side. It's not even the same coast, and he was stalking her. Do you know how fucking scary that is? This is what I'm saying. Don't underestimate. I didn't just do this live to talk shit and for entertainment. I'm doing this live to save somebody's life. Take this shit seriously, okay? Especially when you're dealing with somebody who has money and power. They will, and they got narcissistic tendencies, allegedly, okay? They will hurt you, and they will burn shit to the ground just to regain control. And if they can't regain control, then it's the next step, and you could read in between the lines. And that's all I'm going to say. So anyway, it's crazy. Zion Movement says, I believe it. I have a legit stalker as well. See, thank God, no kids with his crazy arse. Y'all better read this. See, this, I'm not making this shit up. It's real. Pay attention, especially ladies. Pay attention. Don't take it for joke. Some people go through DV and it's horrific and it's done, and the person, leaves them alone. Some people go through that and they have, like Zion Movements and these people stalking them. They can't even move on with their lives. And guess what? Her ex has a partner. He's in a new relationship. And thank God. And the sad part is when you have kids with them, it's their ticket to be in your life, whether you want them to or not, and there's only so much you can do. So anyway, guys, please be safe. Okay. I hope y'all have a good rest of the day. I know this was an intense topic, but I really felt compelled to talk about this because there's just so many. I've just never seen somebody get on, this frequently and incriminate themselves. And this is why I say he must be representing himself, because any lawyer would be like, nah, you need to take that shit down. Zion Movement says, mine's too. That's what I don't get. I don't understand it. It's not a joke. It's not a game. Okay, get your restraining order. You could still get a restraining order, and depending on how psycho that person is, they could still come and try to hurt your ass. So that's so just imagine if you don't have one. Okay. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. I'm not sure when I'll be back on, but I hope y'all have a good day. And I love y'all. Sending you peace and good vibes. Stay safe. Stay away from the crazies. And I'll see you on the next video. Let me put on this outro music here. Ciao. And I don't recommend watching his video if you think you'll get triggered. It's not worth it. But some people like to do their own research. But ciao. It's sad. Y'all send Golden good vibes. It doesn't matter if you like her or not. This is a dangerous time. Believe me. When seconds count, the police are minutes away. Facts, Jamie. Facts. I'm going to leave this up here. They're absolutely right. Seconds, okay? And I don't have no sympathy for no domestic violence person. I don't. And this is why I get so worked up about it, because like I said, you can like somebody, but if they're out here hurting people and putting their hands on people, you know what, like, you don't have to hate them, but can you at least call them out for it? You know, it's sad. Jamie, also, if you're still here, thanks for sharing about the Rashad Jamal thing, because I hadn't been watching him for more than this year, so thank you for sharing that. Shout out to all the members, Zion Movements, peace, love, Miss Venus. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for supporting the channel. Get you some mace. I'm not a big weapons person, but get you some mace, a knife, something. Always be ready. Bye, y'all.